Hello everyone, thanks for joining me again. I want to apologise to start with because I just looked on my channel and my last video was 2.5 weeks ago and I didn't realise it'd been that long, so I apologise for that because I did want to make this a weekly thing. I've been very busy with uni. If you don't know, I've moved up to Aberystwyth University. So I've had a lot of work to do in the last 2 weeks, so that's the main reason why I haven't done a video in a while. But also, I haven't really had time to watch that many films, and Aberystwyth is a great town, but, well, there are two cinemas, but one of them is in the arts centre and is still closed because of COVID, obviously. But there's another one, there's like an independent cinema by the beach, and it seems great and everything. I haven't been there yet, but they only show one film a day, and it's always at 7:30, and it's the same film for a week, and then it goes. And so far, they've been new films, but new films I haven't wanted to see. So, like, since I've been here, it's been Tenet, which, if you've seen previous videos, you'll know I absolutely hated. Then Bill and Ted's something new film that doesn't interest me in the slightest. And then The New Mutants, which I have no interest in seeing. So I think for a while, because there's a couple of films I do want to see coming out soon. Saint Maud and Shirley are the main films I'm looking forward to. But yeah, it's one film a week and it's once a day, so I don't know if it will come here. It's basically like the 1950s up here cinema-wise, but it's fine. I also feel bad because Aberystwyth is one of the very few counties, or Ceredigion, where Aberystwyth is one of the very few counties that isn't in lockdown or local lockdown, at least so far in Wales. So, and also Cineworld is just closed and Cardiff is in lockdown, so basically I can't come back to Cardiff to binge watch all the modern films, all the current films. So what I'm essentially saying, in a very long way of saying it, is for the next couple of weeks at least, I think, I'll just be reviewing films from Netflix or films that are on the TV. And with that in mind, I'll move on to today's film. I hadn't heard of today's film until a couple of days ago because, like I said, I've moved to uni and I've started studying writing for performance media and broadcasting, which is essentially script writing, playwriting, screenwriting. So I've started thinking of film in a different way, and so I was reading this textbook the other day, and this film that I'm going to review for you guys today was in that textbook, and I've never heard of it before. So it's called Hunger. It's a film from 2008. It's actually a long time ago now if you think about it. It was 12 years ago. And it was Steve McQueen's first film as a director. And, like, directing isn't exactly the part of film that interests me the most. I'm more interested in the writing side of it. But I have to take my hat off to Steve McQueen for this because this is one of the best first films from a director I've ever seen. It was nominated for 2 BAFTAs and it won one. So it won one of two, and the first one was best debutorial, if that's a word, film by a British writer, director, or producer, and I can see why, because it's just perfect. And it was also nominated for best British film, but it lost. So if you don't know what the film is about, it takes up it uses some of my favourite aspects of film. It's set in the 80s, which I just love. It's got as well as set in Ireland / Northern Ireland, which I love Irish cinema. Irish accents, brilliant. Different kinds of Irish accents. There's a lot of Irish humour, if I'm allowed to say that. Feel, like the kind of, sense of humour. Feels like a big Irish vibe in there. You know what I'm saying. And also there's a lot of Thatcher references, which I love. I don't love Thatcher, but I love it when she just gets brought up randomly. So yeah, this film is right up my alley. And it's about the 1981 IRA hunger strike in Irish / Northern Irish prisons. So I've been quite interested in the IRA and the Northern Irish Troubles recently, and I've watched a couple of documentaries about it. So when I saw that this film was on Netflix, I felt like I had to watch it, and yeah, it didn't disappoint. So the leading actor is Michael Fassbender, and he's absolutely brilliant in it. I haven't seen many of his films, or at least in a while. So I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed his performance. He plays Bobby Sands, who basically leads the hunger strike in this prison. This film, like, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I don't really like violent films, and this film is very violent. It's very so set in a prison, and it's basically a film about Protestant police officers against Catholic, Republican IRA members in the prisons. And so it's a 15. There's a lot of full frontal nudity for 15, I thought maybe it would be an 18. But yeah, there's just loads of scenes like so the film leads on from when it kind of integrates with the no wash protest, where the prisoners refuse to wash basically because of what the government have done to them. And there's this scene where Michael Fassbender is dragged through the prison completely naked, and he's got this long shaggy hair, beard and everything, and they cut it with just like really, you could watch it, watching it you could feel how painful it would have been. And so he's bleeding from the cutting they do, and there's a scene where this is like my worst nightmares, when someone like punches you straight in the thing. I just don't like it when cameras show that. I don't know if this is a me thing or whether it happens to a lot of people, but I think my anxiety kicked off a bit because I got a nosebleed from watching the violence in this film. And I do get nosebleeds quite a lot, but I don't know whether that was triggered by the anxiety from the violence in this film. So I'm still thinking about that. Yeah, basically, it's a very violent film, but I think given the context of the film and that it's based on a true story, I think I can forgive them for it being such a violent film. A couple of weeks ago, I said I don't mind doing spoilers now. So yeah, basically the scene that follows the cutting of hair scene is a scene where the main prison officer, the prison officer where the film starts with him leaving his family home, and he's basically the main guy there. He goes to visit his mother in an old people's home. I think she has dementia or something like that because she doesn't talk, by the looks of it, she doesn't remember who he is. You think it's going to be a nice scene, like mother and son scene visiting your elderly mother, and then this IRA guy comes in and shoots him from behind the head. So yeah, that's definitely a theme, is violence and religion and um, basically Catholicism versus Protestantarianism. I think I just made up another word. Protestantism. Protest. Protestantism. Pro. I genuinely don't know what the word for that is, but let's go with Protestantarianism. I don't know. I always say I'm going to keep these videos short, and then I go on a minute-long rant about how you say Protestantism. Anyway, so yeah, like I say, my degree isn't technically in film. It's more writing for different types of media, like film, TV, plays, and stuff. So I am technically doing a film thing. So a lot of my modules had to do with film. So this has got me thinking about how film is made. Like, I never really thought about the camera angles and stuff like that, but that's what this week's seminar was about. It was about cinematography and mise en scène. I won't explain those things in depth now, but it's quite interesting if you don't know what it is. And the point I'm trying to make is the next scene is just cinematic perfection. It's a scene where Michael Fassbender is in one of the visitor rooms waiting for the priest to arrive. And I read an article about this scene, and it's a 17-minute long scene where Bobby Sands, Michael Fassbender, is telling the priest how he wants to start this hunger strike and that he's going to start it on the 1st of March. And the camera angles and everything is just so good. I read this article and they said that the priest, I can't remember the name of the actor of the priest, but he moved in with Michael Fassbender, and they would practice the scene 12 to 15 times a day. And the article said that they only did it in 5 takes. On the 5th take, they got it in 1. And I really want, if you're still watching this, I really want you to watch this film, because this scene alone is perfect. So if you are interested in filmmaking, I think this is a good film to watch for that. And you think 17 minutes, nothing can really be that if it lasts that long, but it's really funny. It's like sarcastic, it's serious, it's nice, it's sad, there's a story. Because the priest doesn't like the idea of him doing the hunger strike, because he's fed up of the division and deaths and everything. And then Michael Fassbender tells a story that his character went through when he was like 12, where basically the priest is saying, are you basically committing suicide by doing this hunger strike? And I'm not entirely sure, but I think suicide was still illegal in Ireland in 1981. I'm not sure, so do correct me if I'm wrong about that. So then there's this story where Michael Fassbender's character as a teenager he was a cross-country runner, and that's a big part of the 17-minute story. And there's a story where he had to put a horse down because it was in the stream, and that he knew that the horse was going to be better off dead than than living a terrible life, and he uses that as a metaphor for his time in prison, basically. And then there's like a callback at the end of the film where it's like a flashback to that. So like it really loops around, and I just think that's really amazing. A big part of this film is Michael Fassbender's appearance, and I think any actors who really commit to the role should be given a round of applause, because I don't do that much acting, but I don't think I'd ever go to the lengths that he went to with this film, because I read another article. This is what I like doing as well now, is reading articles about the film and the production and everything. And he said that obviously it's a hunger strike film, so you'd have to lose a lot of weight for this character. And he said to this interviewer that he used to walk 4.5 miles every day, and his only diet was nuts, berries, and like tins of sardines. I like those things, but I wouldn't be able to just eat those to commit myself to a role. And it's kind of like, it's very hard to watch, really, because you can kind of see like the bones in his body popping out. Like, that's how much weight he had to lose for this role. And there's a scene where you can see all of this. Like, I really admire the makeup team, because he gets so ill with this hunger strike that he ends up having stomach ulcers and like scabs everywhere. So they need props for that. But there's a scene where he has a bath, and this is about spoilers again. He dies on his 66th day of the hunger strike, but I think it's a couple of days or maybe a week before that. There's a sad scene where he's taking a bath, and one of the prison guards who is watching him basically has UDA tattooed on his fist, which stands for the Ulster Defence Association. And I didn't quite know what that was, but then I looked into it, and it's a Protestant, I don't know if it's an organisation, but they basically killed over 400 Catholic people during the Troubles, I think. And so yeah, it's kind of like, it's like he's overwatching another Catholic death, basically. So I thought that was really. But then, because his character is so weak, that then he had to help him get out of the bath, and he kind of refuses. He wants to stand up on his own strength, even though he's like brittle and really, really weak. And this film is based on a true story, and the hunger strike lasted 7 months, and I think 16 other men died, and it's just really sad to think about that they had to go through all of this. But then the good thing about it, not good thing, but the thing to take away from it, is that Bobby Sands, who was a real guy, became an MP during his hunger strike. So it is like a really politically motivated film. He was the MP for Fermanagh and South Tyrone. I hope I'm saying that right. And then the ending is basically, oh yeah, that's another one of the things I really like in films, especially when when it's a film based on real life. I like it when they have like screens coming up at the end and it tells you what happens, and it basically tells you that The government gave the prisoners their demands in the end, but they never gave them full political status. So, yeah, you get the whole picture. I often find with films that um, they either focus too much on one aspect of it or they don't focus on it enough. So I'm glad they managed to get the whole strike into the film. And it was only an hour and 40, so I think they did it really well without it being too long. And it is a really well written script. And yeah, it's on Netflix. And I urge you all to watch it because there's a scene where I forgot to mention some of them were brought in as non-conforming prisoners because they wanted their own clothes. And there's a scene where they basically give them the worst clothes they could possibly find, and they joke about them because they hate them because they're Catholic. And um, I've forgotten what my point was, but basically, watch this film. Basically, I think. Oh, that's what I was going to say. There's a brilliant. One of my favorite scenes in the film is obviously you're stuck in a room. I don't know how many feet, but really tight room, 24 hours a day. And there's this brilliantly shot scene where all of the prisoners start losing it, like getting really angry, and they just start throwing. They literally have a side table, a bed, and everything, and like um, maybe oh yeah, like they've got one window, so they just start throwing all of the beds and everything everywhere, and it just conjures up all the emotions they must have been feeling politically. So yeah, um, I'd highly recommend this film. Like I said, I don't like violence films, but this was brilliant. So I think for this, I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars because it's such a good film. Um, I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I apologize for making it so long. But I think because I haven't spoken to you in 2.5 weeks, I think it makes up for it. Um, so yeah, I don't know what I'm going to review for you guys next week, if I do make a video next week, that is. But basically, I get given a film every week now for my film module. So maybe I'll review that for you because I've started watching films with my flatmates that I have to study because basically that gives them a film to watch and I get to do some work at the same time. So next week is Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock. And fun fact is that I've never seen a Hitchcock film, so that could be an interesting one to review for you guys. Yeah, so I'll see you next time whenever that is. I'll leave my things up here as usual so you can watch my previous videos. And yeah, stay safe and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye.